Tonight, Jeremy Shatan from AnEarful blog joins Dennis Ball to discuss how Miles Davis destroyed jazz. Just kidding. Here's your host, Dennis Ball. All right, Jeremy. Welcome, ballers, and welcome, Jeremy Shatan. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you for having me into your sleek little music room here.
Thank you. I'm thrilled that we are today talking about. Let me make sure the chat is on top of the thing here, because we got a chat, and I want to make sure that we can see our chat is chatting on top of the listening lounge. Where's the freaking? But in any case, today we're talking about Miles Davis, and if the ballers give us a shout out if you're there. Let me get some tunes going here, man, and we are going to talk about. Hold on. I got a good song to play. What's up, Nito? What's up, Nito? Okay. Here's what I'm thinking, man. Let's talk about the record first. So, I asked you, would you talk about a Miles Davis record? Why did you choose this one?
I think part of the reason I chose Bitches Brew was because my own personal journey with it was kind of a winding road to get to the heart of it.
What do you mean by that?
Well, when I was in high school, I listened to In a Silent Way probably every day. And that's the album that preceded it.
Yes, I love that. It's super laid back.
Yeah, it's really laid back, and I connected it with Brian Eno and all these other things I was listening to at the time. And it just gave me a chance to reset. Somehow I got a copy of Bitches Brew. Maybe I borrowed it from my brother first. I have my own copy now. But I just found it impenetrable. I couldn't understand.
Yeah, it's a challenging record. It really is. It's 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Of here, I have the song list to give you a sense.
Yep.
It's 90 minutes. 2 records. Each of them has like a 20 to 20 minute long song on it, except for side 3, which has 2 songs on it. I guess John McLaughlin was intended to be the single.
Yeah. So. It actually started with Live Evil, which was a live album that came out a little bit afterwards. When they put that out as a reissue sometime in the 90s, I walked into J&R Music World and they had it in their listening kiosk, and I was listening to it on the headphones, and I started crying because I sort of understood what Miles was doing. He was building this space around himself where he could just be himself.
He's an intensely personal artist. I like Miles Davis a lot, and I have a bunch of his records. But I'll tell you the truth, Jeremy. I purchased this on vinyl because we were doing this. I have. Yeah, you have a ton of them. I have. I have the Mo-Fi of Kinda Blue, which is the only Mo-Fi I have. I have like a bunch of records, but this one I heard in college and never sought it out again. I think because of the challenges that it sort of holds.
Yeah.
But when I listened to it, I thought the cover was very reflective of the sound, and the concept of it, which is sort of that, it's elemental. It's not constrained.
Yeah.
The music almost washes over you and is. Am I making sense, man? It's.
Well, I'll tell you. So. The next thing that happened is that my parents gave me this because I wanted
what's
it was
that?
the complete Bitches Brew CD box set, and I put it on. They were sitting on the couch, and my son was very young at the time.
And what does that have? It has the album
and
a show or something.
And there were several other sessions that they did after 1969, or after the August 69 sessions that make up the album.
Right.
There were several other sessions going from November to January to February of 1970. So they put them all on here. So I put it in the CD player, and my son almost instantly starts dancing to it.
How old?
Under 2.
Yeah,
and
they get it.
That's when, and then it was like wheels start turning for me. He's going under. I was trying to go through the top of the music. But you got to go under from the rhythms.
Oh man!
And
I love
that's
that.
when
It's
it
a
just
great way
like
to put
it just went, and I
That's
completely
amazing.
just fell head over heels in love with Electric Miles 69 to 75 is just the pinnacle to me of music. It's just so fantastic.
And so this he was making the older generation mad because he was, and because he was not cool anymore and he was doing crazy things musically and fashion wise and everything else. And then it was like the young people, he was signaling to them that he was like them, sort of, but then they were like, this isn't rock and roll. So he was like really like treading this fine line at that time. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. He related it somewhat back to some of the stuff he was playing in the early, his like R&B blowing days. He said it was like a jam session at Mittens, where you're just blowing to have fun and playing around with it and getting funky and very rhythmic, rather than, if you listen to an album like ESP or Someday My Prince Will Come, it's very refined. I mean, it gets heated at times, but it's very refined, and it's like traditional jazz at its purest.
I'm gonna have to shout out to the chat real quick before I we Paper Bag Man, what's up? Nito, what's up, my man? Billy Joseph in the Army of Love, welcome
Billy
in,
Joseph,
brother.
yeah, that's my cousin. Hey, Billy.
It is magically hypnotic. I was telling Jeremy I had that on a Nice Price cassette, the Nice Price, in a silent way. I loved that. Ned Byrne, yes, I am making good sense, and yeah, you're right. Going under the rhythm also makes sense. I like that. So I have a couple of interesting facts which sort of play into what you were talking about. So,
sure.
Interestingly, the session started in New York City the day after Woodstock ended, August 19th, 1969.
Yep.
The album had two working titles. First, it was Listen to This, and then for a long time it was Pharaoh's Dance. And then right before they released it, they changed it to Bitches Brew.
During those recording sessions, like you say here, the tapes recorded everything. That was one of the ideas he had, and he related that back to Kind of Blue and In a Silent Way, where he just let the tapes roll. But the thing he started doing on In a Silent Way was using modern recording and editing technology.
It was new.
That was not done on jazz records. Jazz records were supposed to be a performance. And he was kind of a one-take guy. He wanted to get it on the first take. But when he started doing this, he was influenced by Sgt. Pepper's. He was influenced by Electric Ladyland. Those were all progenitors of what he was doing here, where he used the recording studio as an instrument.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, Eno's like the studio as a compositional tool.
Yeah.
But I think that he was doing it even before
Eno was still in college at the time.
But it was interesting. I read this, and I'll just say it was in this book, which I highly recommend that everybody read, John Zwed, So What? The Life of Miles Davis. If you like Miles, it's really interesting. So
I should probably read that.
He would go to the group, and I have more like detail on the next slide. He would just there would be one chord, and he'd be like, you can just play this, and he'd give them a vague direction and say, I just want to hear that chord in there.
Yeah.
And then they'd play a little bit and they'd record it. And then he'd be like, okay, now let's do the next thing. And like you were saying, like they recorded everything nonstop. And
it's kind of interesting though, because if you look at the whole album, musical bits, that's good.
And then they were like, they assembled them into chunks.
Yeah.
Voodoo, Miles Runs the Voodoo Down, Spanish Key, and Sanctuary are unedited takes. Those are actual songs.
Yeah, those are continuous play that he did a couple of takes of. Apparently Voodoo was really hard to get started, but the key came from one of the drummers who was playing percussion, Don Elias. He was playing percussion, and he was listening to them try to get this thing started, and he said, I know the rhythm. So he went to Miles and he said, I know the rhythm. And Miles pointed him at Jack DeJohnette's drum set. So he goes and sits down there and starts playing the rhythm, and Jack couldn't pick it up. It was too simple for Jack to play. So that's how they got to Miles Runs the Voodoo Down. But interestingly, the album, the Pharaoh's Dance, which starts the album, has 19 edits.
Yeah, I saw that.
Bits
That's
and pieces
crazy. Yeah.
and tape loops they're putting in there.
Which was, and you can't really. I listened to it. You know, it's 90 minutes long. I got the record finally came like a week. I ordered it months ago, and it finally came like a week ago. And I listened to it a whole bunch of times this week,
Mm.
and I couldn't. I wasn't hearing. I was listening for loops and stuff. It's
It's
pretty
pretty seamless.
seamless. Teo Macero, did I pronounce that right?
Yeah.
Was the producer behind all of this.
Mateo is a
Um,
fascinating person. According to the liner notes in the box set, he doesn't talk about any of this stuff. I'm not sure he's still with us right now, but he was not talking when they were putting this box set together. So we don't really know his own impressions. And we know Miles actually kind of poo-pooed Teo's involvement. But you have to understand Teo Macero in the 50s was Edgar Varèse's assistant. He
Oh,
helped
really? The
the
music concrete guy, right?
exactly. Edgar Varese
It's like
did a piece
tape
for the
cutting.
yeah.
He was like yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just
I
going to
don't mean.
say Edgar
I'm
Varese.
just excited that I know what you're talking about.
Edgar Varese assembled a tape composition called Poème électronique for the 1958 World's Fair, and Teo Macero helped him cut it together.
That's
he learned
really cool.
And Edgar Varese was this visionary who saw that tape could be an instrument. So
Yes.
Teo Macero learned that from Varese and brought it into
Wow.
the studio with him.
All right, consider my mind blown. That's a great fact.
But Miles,
And
when you hear people talk about what he was doing, he was
Yes.
also preconceiving when they're doing these sections where they're going to go in the final take. So
Yeah.
I think with some of the later Electric records, from what I understand, is they would play for 4 hours and then Miles would leave and go on tour, and Teo Macero would just have to do something to make a record out of it.
Billy Joseph, thank you. I love that you love this beautifully weird and extremely cool and casual show. I super do appreciate you coming in and saying that.
I also
makes my night, actually. What's that,
just
man?
as the Roots were in 1958, Varese, there was also 1968 stuff going on. Joe Zawinul, Wayne Shorter, they were all cooking up stuff that went into the DNA of this record, on their own. And Tony Williams with Lifetime. And then there's also this fascinating session that turned up
Betty
a few
Davis.
years ago.
Now
Betty Davis, you said she was in the studio. Miles broke his rule, but she had every right to be there because he might not have listened to Sly Stone, Jimi Hendrix, and James Brown.
And
if she didn't
without
push
her,
exactly.
and he was looking at her. The thing I read was he was looking at her for approval the entire time he was playing.
Yeah.
So he
said,
obviously cared deeply about her
here.
musicality.
She said that she brought surprises into his life. He pointed the way he was to go, both in his music and even his lifestyle, which unfortunately also meant drugs.
Right.
Which sent him down a very dark path for the first half of the 70s. But she really influenced him. And I remember Herbie Hancock also saying he went over to Miles's apartment after he was dating or maybe married to Betty. And he sees Sly Stone record on the floor, a Jimi Hendrix. And he's thinking, because Hancock was actually pretty dismissive of rock and roll. He thought jazz was the, America's classical music.
Was?
And
I didn't know that.
And he saw that. He said, Miles, you listen to this stuff? Next thing you know, he's jamming on an electric piano.
Right. Oh, that's great.
And we know the rest is history, right up to Rocket.
I actually have an idea for a Herbie Hancock video that I'm going to do sometime. There's a cool. I'll tell you about it later. I don't want to spoil it. But all right, let's look at some more of my.
A lot of the players who were on this Betty Davis session, which did not come to fruition at the time, ended up on Bitches Brew or in Miles Davis's quintet.
Was that recorded at the same time?
It was recorded in '68.
So the year before, what does she play? Is she a vocalist? Is she a?
Oh, you don't know Betty Davis? Oh, you have.
I don't know her. I don't know anything about her.
Incredible stuff ahead of you. Betty Davis is one of the grittiest, funkiest, most hardcore people to ever attack the funk. Now on this, she's singing a little more. She's singing a little more conventionally, but her first album, Betty Davis, is one of the funkiest records of all time.
She's
and then
a vocalist.
She did They Say I'm Different and Nasty Gal. I mean, these are just some of the greatest records of the 70s.
All right, so yeah, ballers. Apparently, we have an assignment. We have to go listen to Betty Davis's
Yeah,
funk albums. I like funk a lot, and I'm
you will
unfamiliar.
be blown away.
I like to think one of the things that's refreshing about my show is that I admit it when I don't know something.
I like that about you.
Um, all right, hold on a second. Um, it was recorded in quadraphonic and 8-track at the same time, and Miles had a mic on his horn.
Mhm.
He had a amp that was mic'd like a guitar amp type thing, and he had They had a signal coming out of the board, whatever that means. I don't know if that was ambient room.
Mm.
So they were able to that they were that was just sort of a note that from the book that I thought was
Yeah, and they
interesting.
were putting a lot of reverb on his horn. I mean, these were things that, like I said, just weren't done.
Yeah, reverb. Yeah, exactly.
Using the
Um,
techniques of rock and roll and funk
and
to not break
interestingly,
jazz, as you said in your headline, but to bring jazz forward.
right, people thought he was breaking jazz, but it was ultimately jazz what he was doing. It was
Jazz
um,
became it. It became jazz.
yeah, it's almost punk rock in a sense. But
But one of the things
the
about him is that
yeah,
he didn't even really like to call his own music jazz. He didn't like to be
he
put
didn't
into a box. He just said, "I'm just playing music." That was
just playing
his
music, man.
that was his whole philosophy. I'm just playing music.
And the
And
last note, yeah, go ahead.
he also said
Sorry.
that his harshest critic, because he got a lot of criticism for this record, but years earlier than that, he had said that his harshest critic was himself. And if he didn't like it, it wasn't going to get out.
Wow. Interestingly, so I just will say that my last point on that other slide was that the musicians stated that they didn't have a sense of completion. It felt like they were doing these unfinished rehearsal chunks, with the exception of, I guess,
The ones that were continuous
yeah, the
takes,
continuous take
yeah,
ones. But like,
Sanctuary and Miles
yeah,
on Voodoo
Sanctuary,
Down.
Spanish Key,
Yeah.
yeah, it's Miles. But I just thought that was really interesting, and what they said that felt unsatisfied, and they had no sense of whether the performances were any good, and it didn't have any relation to what they had done. When they heard the record, it didn't seem like it was what they had
Yeah. He
done.
used them
I,
almost like a painter uses brushes,
right,
rather than
which I
saying,
thought was
here's your solo, here's your chance to shine. It's just everybody all at once
super cool.
making
And
sound.
I meant to grab the cover, but I have to say, like, I really like On the Corner, and
Oh, yeah.
that album, and Ballers. That's like a funk Miles record, and it's kind of like
You got to get
that
this
Herbie
bad boy
hit.
here.
Uh,
This is the
yeah.
complete on the corner sessions.
Oh my
Will
goodness! And
change
look
your
at the
whole.
look at hold that up to the thing. Those guys are like in relief.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, that's cool.
It's
And what
just
does it have besides the album? What else is on that? Ballers, I'm sorry, we're geeking
it's
out here.
just
Yeah, the
this one I
Varese
think
Miles
is
connection is a trip. That's right, Billy.
this is
And
five
Paper Bagman,
discs. You
thank you
know
for
how
the
long the
fire.
record is, right?
Yeah, the record
This
is
is
not that
five
long.
discs, five CDs.
And so is it just additional takes and stuff, or
Additional takes,
any?
stuff recorded around the same time. It's just absolutely extraordinary.
It's freaking sick. I love that. I love that album.
Yeah, no, this is really, really great.
And so let me just ask you, um you have there are some current things that you were saying that you thought people would
Well,
enjoy
it's
if they
very
liked this
interesting
record.
because what Bitches Brew kind of led to the whole fusion scene really was very different than what Bitches Brew sounded like. When you think about Mahavishnu Orchestra or Weather Report, they were
Yeah.
very
All right, what's
controlled.
fusion for the benefit of
Well,
any of the
fusion is
ballers?
what came to be called the jazz rock fusion. That
It's the
was
fusion of rock music and
so
jazz.
jazz fusion. It was sometimes called, and these were
Prog
bands.
rock?
Well,
Does prog
prog
rock?
rock is kind of rock and roll that touches on classical music and maybe a little bit of jazz, but jazz
Yeah.
rock fusion is where jazz and rock get together, and it often sounds a lot like funk, but
John McLaughlin,
yeah,
stuff like that.
Mahavishnu Orchestra, Weather Report, Return to Forever, these kind of groups. But if you listen to them, they're very kind of soloist driven. I would say they're compositional
Okay.
and they have very virtuosic solos. So it's a very different approach. I'm not sure if they were doing things the same way Miles was. As you said, they were unsatisfied. Maybe they wanted to be satisfied in the moment when they're making the record. They're very tightly controlled. A lot of
Yeah,
them
they
are
didn't. That was
fantastic.
the sense.
Billy
Yeah, that was
Cobham
what.
made some great records, the drummer.
Mm-hmm.
And but when I was thinking about things that may have brought some of the genre busting flavor of Bitches Brew into the future, I did think of Promises, which was an album that came out last year that features Floating Points, Sam Shepard, the electronic musician, with Pharoah Sanders, who obviously comes out of the jazz tradition, and the London Symphony Orchestra, combining.
Wow.
It's almost a little more like In a Silent Way. If you think about the effect of it, it's very calming, it's very relaxed, but then you have this saxophone that just kind of cuts through stuff and goes off on tangents. So, but I think the way it crosses genres made me think a little bit of Bitches Brew. Another would be Burnt Sugar, the Orchestra Chamber. I know that's a mouthful. This was a band started by Greg Tate, the great critic and philosopher and thinker about music and the role of Black America in music. So he actually formed this band, and they take a lot of the Bitches Brew flavor, the Electric Miles flavor, and they really bring it
Wow.
into the 21st century. That last album, Angels Over Wakanda, is sort of a jazz rock opera about the place of Oakland in Black American life, Oakland, California. So they're relating Wakanda to Wakanda from the Black Panther stories. And it really is a great listen. It's not slavish. For one thing, they don't really have the lead trumpeter who's giving it that signature sound, but it
Right.
really is a great record. They have a ton of really great records. And Promises was on my top 25 last year on an earful. And this was on my best of jazz
I
Latin.
remember you talking about this last year
Yeah.
on Earful. Now, do you listen to things on an Earful blog? Is the link is in the description, ballers. Check it out. Thank you, Billy Joseph. Yes, the Verez Miles thing is it's crazy, right? Paper Bag Man. Do you listen to these on CD? I see you have a lot of CDs, or do you have vinyl?
Well, yeah, I have a lot of vinyl. I have a lot of CDs. Most when I buy something new these days, it's very often on vinyl because I enjoy the experience of it and the
Yeah.
artwork. You,
Do
you
you
know,
have this floating points one
the
on vinyl?
Promises is a beautiful package from Luaka Bop, and it's kind of funny because I kept trying to order it and it kept going out of print.
Oh,
But you'll notice that it's one
nice.
thing you get is it's a die cut cover, so it opens up
Oh,
into that.
cool. I love that. What's the inside look
I
like
kept
without the die
wanting
cut on
to
it?
order
Oh,
it,
interesting.
and it would go out of print so fast. And one night, late at night, I got an email from Luaka Bop that they had put out a new series
Oh,
of
don't
them.
you love that? And you're like, boom, I'm ordering it right
And this
now.
was this is just too cool. I got to show it to you. This is hand poured vinyl
Oh,
from
neat.
Germany. So everyone is different.
Oh, that's a
And
cool pattern.
yeah, so and it also sounds fantastic. It's not just a gimmick.
That's lovely. Oh, yeah. I'm
And
sure it's a great
I don't
pressing.
get rid of vinyl very often. So, here's still my
Ooh.
52-year-old copy of Bitches Brew. Like I said, I don't actually
Wow.
know where I got this copy, which is odd because I usually remember where I get all my records, even years and years later. But it plays quite well. And, it's a real treasure. Funnily enough, I have this.
Did you spin it? But did you spin it and listen to the vinyl in preparation for this
Actually,
program?
I wanted to listen to the CD because I'd listened to the vinyl not that long ago. So I was listening
Right.
to the box set and reading along with the liner notes. Great Quincy
That's
Troop and
cool.
uh, but and I have my Miles Davis. I have my Kind of Blue. These I bought new, Kind of Blue, and In a Silent Way in like 1980. So they're late
Oh,
70s pressings.
yeah.
But somebody told me that these pressings are considered to be among the best because some of them have odd noises on them or are at a slightly wrong speed. It's
Oh,
bizarre, but I
really?
just bought the ones they had at J&R Music World for
Fascinating.
3.99
People
or
like
whatever.
it to be like the slower speed or
Well,
something
they
if
want it
it
to be
was
the right
cut
speed,
wrong.
and some of them were on the wrong speed.
Huh.
So
Wow. That's interesting. All right. So let's let Ballers. I just have to ask you, subscribe and click the like button, because when we hit 1,000, we're gonna make a special video where my creator shows his face and we'll show how the program is made. Okay. Now that I've said that, I have some jazz jokes for you, man. Let's go to Chuckleballs, shall we? Ballers, you can park in the back. I know that parking can be hard to find in Ball City. What is up, Ballers? Super Ball, let them in. That's the bouncer, Super Ball, Jeremy. Super Ball, let them in. There with me. Everyone, I purchased you a beverage, so get it from your fridge. It's exactly what you always like to have. So let's get to it. I have a couple of jokes here. I don't know if we have anybody left in the audience still. All right, hold on a second. We'll see here. I have some great jokes.
I'm grooving to the sounds.
Yeah, it's pretty good, right? Hold on a second. So, Jeremy, this is a good one. I wrote this one for you. I had a Miles Davis joke, but it was kind of blue.
Ooh. Oh, ouch.
That's pretty good, right? All right, I'm putting that as a yes laugh. I had a Miles Davis joke, but it's kind of blue. You know the difference between God and Miles Davis?
I do not.
God doesn't think he's Miles Davis. That implies that Miles Davis thinks he's God, everybody. All right, hold on a second. I know, it's gasp-worthy. How many vocalists, Paper Bag Man, if you're still here, how many vocalists does it take to sing My Funny Valentine? All of them, apparently. I like that you like that one, man.
I was thinking that Elvis Costello's version.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody sings that. How do you... I have two more, Jeremy. How do you make a guitar player turn down his volume?
You don't.
You put sheet music in front of him.
That's cold.
Put sheet music in front of him, Paper Bag Man. Paper Bag Man relates to that. I got one more. I have one. Yeah, what do you call somebody who hangs out with jazz musicians, Jeremy?
A drummer.
A drummer, exactly. Thank you very much, everybody.
I'm glad you didn't have any bass player jokes, because then I would have gotten filmed.
I know. I have a program of bass player jokes, actually. All right, now we're going to go to the meme room, but first this message from our sponsor.
Every day was just a nightmare. The news, the daily grind, everything was a drag. I just didn't want to do a thing. Then my doctor told me about Subscriva. Not a medical claim, for entertainment purposes only. May cause anal leakage, feelings of overwhelming despair and existential dread, increased stupidity, diabetes, sudden death, halitosis, heart attacks, premature balding, itchy feet, severe headaches, forgetting how to talk, explosive diarrhea, hives, weak tendons, cavities, erectile dysfunction, hemorrhoids, arthritis, cotton mouth, earaches, greasy hair, and more. Visit our website for a full list of potential symptoms. Subscriva from Ball and Ball. Subscribe to life. And also this channel.
All right.
I want to get me some of that Subscriva.
Yes, that's pretty good, right? All right, hold on a second. I have to do a quick little. I'm just realizing I gotta pull my memes over here, man. I can't even believe it. I'm like slow slack that I didn't do that. Hold on, I'm deleting the last memes. I have a bunch of good Miles memes here. I'm sorry, ballers. This is so not cool of me. So unprofessional. However, I'm pulling over the Miles memes right now, and you won't even know. Oh no! Where are they all? Let's shut them all so that you don't get. I'm spoiling it for everybody. Close your eyes, Jeremy. All right, here we go.
I'm looking at my Miles Davis records right now.
Okay, here we go. Here's our first one.
Okay.
Everybody. Sorry, everyone. Georgia Constitution Media's in the house. What's up? All right, here we go. Memes. Hey guys, check out this new artist. His name is Miles Davis. I thought this was funny. I don't know why I thought this dumb meme was funny, but I gave it a cool.
Well, it has that sense of discovery that some people have when they start listening to something for the first time.
It does. I'll give it a yes from you then. A cool. Cool means that you liked it. Drool means you didn't like it. When the other cats are laughing and you try to figure out what you played wrong. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'll give that a cool.
I give that a cool too. Also, it's a Miles Davis meme, so that's
I
a
doubt
plus.
people laughed at Miles Davis though. That would not be.
Oh no, they weren't laughing at him. When the singer makes you wear an outfit for the cake. And nobody made Miles wear any of this stuff. Paper Bag Man's laughing. Thank you. Benjamin the M&M's General. What's up, man? I was wondering when we'd see you back here, Benjamin the M&M's General. Georgia Constitution meeting. When the shit. This reminded me of when Hendrix played for Little Richard, and he wore. Do you know this story? And he wore a frilly shirt. He went out. They went to London, and he went to whatever that street is where they bought the frilly shirts. And he bought and he bought a frilly shirt. And he came back, and Little Richard made him take it off. And apparently, Richard said,
"You can't upstage me.
Richard is the beautiful one." Right. Richard's I'm going to Macon, Georgia tomorrow to go to Little Richard's house, and to the Armand Brothers' house, and Otis Redding's house.
Darn.
I know. Doesn't that sound cool? I want to make a video about
pictures and video.
Yes. Yeah, totally. All right. That's it. Yeah. Doesn't that sound cool? I can't wait. When the upright bass player was right.
Hey, that reminds me of something that we didn't mention about Bitches Brew. Two bass players, electric.
Yeah,
and
two
upright.
drummers and two bass
And
players.
3 keyboards. But anyway.
Yeah, that was crazy. I almost was like, I didn't even get to the personnel because it was like so overwhelming to even begin to parse through it.
I think Miles was driving a Citroen in the picture too. That's hot.
That is hot. All right, Paper Bag Man.
So that's cool.
When the lighting on stage is too bright. I like all of these Miles Davis ones. Paper Bag Man. I don't know. It's just so funny because I'm afraid to laugh at him in real life if he was alive. When the drummer says, "Let's do it in 7/8." These are pretty good, right, Jeremy?
I like them. I've actually never seen any of these either.
Benjamin,
do you know that I
M&M's
won tickets?
Hold on.
I don't know if my brother's in the chat, but I won tickets to see Miles Davis in 1980 or 81 at Madison Square Garden. I won them off the radio. And I didn't like what he was doing at the time. I didn't like when he came back in 1980. I didn't like it. Didn't like the sound.
Yeah, so that 80s
I still
thing.
have a lot of trouble with it. It's very tinny. Although live, it's definitely better than the studio records.
Yeah, did you hear that live Miles record that they just released of his 80s stuff?
I haven't heard that one yet, but there's one from Montreux they did a few years ago.
Uh-huh.
But I gave the tickets to my brother. So my brother owes me big time.
Did he like them?
He loved it.
Did he like it?
I mean, I don't think it was necessarily his favorite period of Miles either, but he can also say that he saw Miles Davis.
I have that Arrested record, which has a long title.
Arrest.
You're Under Arrest, and it has Time After Time.
Yeah.
And what's the other cover that's on it?
Human Nature,
which are great. I actually love those covers. I'm sorry.
My favorite thing he did after his comeback was when he played on the Scritti Politti album. He played on Provision, Scritti Politti, the third Scritti Politti album, and he just blows a beautiful solo. And Scritti Politti was Green Gartside was a way better producer than anybody Miles Davis worked with, unfortunately, in those years. So the sound is fantastic. I highly recommend you check him out on the Provision album. He only plays on one song.
Scritti Politti Provision album. What's the name of the song? Do you know? Remember?
I don't remember right now.
Okay.
It's not coming to me. It's not coming.
Benjamin the M&M's General says he helped a 17-year-old control his anger. That's huge. That's huge, Benjamin.
I like
You should
the
be
sound
proud
that.
of yourself. Yeah, I love the sound of that. Thank you for doing that work. I don't know if you're doing that professionally or what, but that's rocking. Billy Joseph just gave me a compliment
I'm
that I don't
amazed.
think I deserve. He says that this show, Miles Davis would have dug the show that I'm putting on right now. I would hope that he would, Billy Joseph.
I would hope so too.
Thank you very much. I hope so. Hold on, let's keep rolling through
Yeah.
these.
Give me some more cool jewels.
This is not a meme, but
That's a
don't
quote.
fear.
Yeah.
It's a quote. Don't fear mistakes. There are none. I love that quote.
So important for any artist or creative person.
Yeah. It is, and it's true, and you're creative as well. So it's like you just keep failing forward, man.
Yeah.
There is no mistake. You just
And
and
own
it's
it.
what the moment you're in. It's there is no end.
Yeah.
That's a great one. I'm giving that a cool.
Same here.
Oh, you saw this one, Miles Davis versus Kilometer Davis.
That's very
I
funny.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah, we do
it's
not
an
want to
oldie.
shrink Miles. Not at all.
It's an oldie but goodie.
Oh, that's funny.
Kilometer Davis.
And isn't that the coolest stance? He's just such a badass.
I know. He's such a badass. It's like
He's got he's up on his toes. It's just everything about it.
it really is.
So expressive.
And I'd love to know more about, and I'm going to read more of the book that I was showing you, which I don't have.
Do they talk about when he was a little kid?
Yes.
He was
I want to
so
read about.
skinny. Do you know this story?
Tell me. I skipped to the part about Bitches
Right.
Brew.
So
I'm going to
he was
admit it.
very, very skinny, and he's going to school, and his teacher said, Miles, you're so skinny that if you turn sideways, I'm going to mark you absent.
That's great. What I want to read about is his relationship with Coltrane.
Interesting.
I really
yeah.
am curious about that.
Well, I was
'cause they
reading a
seem
little
like
bit
such
about
different
that because
personalities. I don't know.
because Coltrane died in '67. That was a huge shock to everyone because most people didn't
Yeah.
even know that he was sick. They didn't let
Right.
that out. And Miles, apparently, that really hit him hard because they had a strong collaboration for many years, but they weren't actually super friendly. They weren't like, let's go have a slice of pizza
Right.
together and chat up.
It was almost like,
but they
different
had
personalities.
huge effects on each other. And when you think about when Coltrane was pushing his music out into the free jazz realm and Miles was pushing it into the electric realm, it's so different. The different ways they were breaking jazz or bringing jazz into the future. It's just
Yeah.
utterly different.
It's pretty cool. All right, hold on. Let's do these
Equally
last-
valid. All right, what do you got here now? Well, you got to shrink that one down a little bit, I think.
LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Tinder. Pretty good, right? Let's look at those again.
They need to update
Link-
that with a TikTok if there's something of him dancing.
LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Tinder. It's great.
A Miles for all seasons.
Yeah, I'm giving that one a laugh. Pizza for dinner sounds good. Yeah, Miles does express with his whole body and soul. It's so true. I mean, the best artists do. It's all about the whole package.
Yeah. Now there you go. Yeah. If you ever
Here he is again.
watch Jimmy Page play, he puts his whole body into those riffs. It's not just a rigid thing. That's why it's so hard to play a Led Zeppelin song really well.
When you hit a wrong note, it's the next note that makes it good or bad. Another one that is a quote instead of a meme. But
same as the other one. I think one of the first people he said that to might have been Herbie Hancock, who messed up at one point, and Miles just told him to keep going.
yeah, did you see my video I made with that clip?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know if I don't have it here, but You can look on my page. I have it's basically just that clip where Miles gets mad at Herbie Hancock, but then I superimpose myself over it, telling him a joke, and telling him the Miles Davis thinks he's God joke, and so then it looks like he's looking angrily at me because I interrupted his trumpet solo with a dad joke kind of thing. I just ruined. It took me literally longer to tell you that than the video is. It's like 5 seconds long, maybe. It's a. All right, ballers. I just have to say thank you so much, Jeremy, for coming on the show.
Oh, it's truly my pleasure. I could talk about Miles all day, all night.
Well, we'll come back on. Maybe we can talk about. Oh wait, I'm going to ask you one more question.
Hit me.
Pardon me. That box set. Bitches Brew box. What is on that? What is the is there anything incredible that you come away with on that? Is there unedited audio? Or...
it's interesting because they do not have all the bits that made up, say, Pharaoh's Dance and Bitches Brew. That would be interesting. And I think if you get the In a Silent Way box or the On the Corner box or even the Cellar Door sessions, which is what made up.
Those aren't on vinyl, right?
Cellar Door sessions made up Live Evil. So, those things, they have more of the things. And I think that's partly because of the way they were recorded that was a little looser, where Miles wasn't conceiving so much of these bits and pieces. It's more up to Teo Macero. Anyway, so...
Yeah, Teo might have been cutting the actual tape too, so they may
totally
not
cutting
have.
Tape. There was nothing else. There was no other way to do it.
There's nothing left. There's nothing left, man. The tape is cut
and connecting it. But so Bitches Brew was made in 3 days, right? August 19, 2021. But before it was released, he kept going into the studio, and like I said, in November and January, February. So that's what they have on here. And some of that stuff was released later on. These sort of compilation placeholder albums they were putting out in the 70s to just keep the product flowing while Miles' health condition was deteriorating. He had a hip that was kind of rotting from the inside, and he had a drug problem, some painkillers, and he was in rough shape. That's why he retired for 5 years. He would have either retired or died if he kept going. So all
right. On that note, Jeremy Shatan, thank you so much, ballers. Thank you very much, Billy Joseph. Thank you.
Or do I call
Georgia
you Mr.
Constitution?
Ball?
Right on the ball, man. Georgia Constitution Media, Benjamin, Eminem, Paper Bag Man, Billy Joseph, all the ballers watching the replay.
Thanks to
and
everyone
all our friends
in the
out
chat.
there.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend and peace out.
And a 1 and a 2. 1, 2, 3. Tennis ball, tennis ball. The world outside is making me so sad. But when I watch your show, it seems the world is just a joke, and things don't seem so bad. Your multi-personality is worth more than your pedigree. You're rolling with the punches like a champ. With all your skill, your show, and you like the room when you walk in. That's just a laugh.